And now here we go. If anyone can give us a thumbs up if you hear us, all good. Janne, maybe say something as well, so we know that your microphone is working.
Yeah. Was that enough?
That was enough, I hope. I hope. There is a 30-second delay that you have to kind of take into account with this thing, and it's hard to get used to.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we have received like a notice that we're all good. So Janne, why are we here? Janne?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Maybe we can start now as well. So the idea was to have a webinar given the circumstance, and the idea was to have actually Janne and I wanted to have a chat, a YouTube video filmed last Friday, but then he was not able to travel to Tallinn anymore, so we thought we're gonna hold a webinar because we are both in a position or a situation where we hear a lot what's going on with different software development businesses. Janne is the founder and CEO of Exove and the chairman of Code from Finland. And I run Allies. We work together with around 40 dev houses. We work together with them quite intimately, so we see what's going on. So maybe Janne, you can start. Where are we?
Yeah, I would say that we live truly interesting times. That never seen anything escalate so quickly, and we haven't yet seen the depth of it. But I think that there will be major consequences for a number of things. Some we really know already and we can prepare for, and then some that we don't, and then we need to be agile.
Mm-hmm. And you say, like, of course, interesting times, but is there any way to compare it with what you saw? What was it then? A little bit more, 2008.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was an interesting times. Also, I was actually I was in States on holiday when the Lehman Brothers fell, and during that week, we lost 5 deals, one deal every day. So somebody called us. Mm-hmm. I was in Boston, woke up because of the time difference, and then somebody said that we need to cancel this project, or we can't really run the project now, or we won't accept the deal, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So a holiday that I do remember for the rest of my life, I would say. And so it was really sudden then. But on the other hand, there were no lockdowns. People could move freely. There were no fear of getting infected, getting anybody killed because of the situation. Old people were not needed to be protected. The clients become very quickly very more conservative in spending, but there were no liquidity issues that we probably will face in the economies pretty soon. It was mostly that the loans from the banks shut down themselves. So if you were healthy, then you could continue working because the money flew inside the economy, but not from the banks. And now a lot of things have stopped.
So you would say that the immediate effect in 2008, you said you lost 5 clients in 1 week, 5 deals. But have you had a similar effect already? Clients canceling? No.
No, not this time. The situation is different for our company, I would say. Mm-hmm. But if I would be serving a lot with travel industry, for example, then I would expect that there will be a lot of cancellation. It might be that the companies are so busy that they can't do the cancellation in certain industries.
Because that's what we have heard as well. Most of our partners have maybe not lost any clients yet, but what I've seen is that it's become very, very difficult the past week, especially in our region, Estonia and Finland, to close new deals.
Yeah, I would say that that is most probably true, and the people are cautious. That is what happens a lot when a crisis pops up, and this popped up pretty quickly. We saw it for 2 months, but everybody thought that it doesn't really matter here because it's a Chinese problem, or it's an Asian problem, or it's Italian problem, and then it was Europe-wide.
Yeah, and then it became our problem. And
we are neck deep, I would say, in the problem also. So there will be consequences if this is over quickly. Then it might be that the recovery is also quick. But the thing is that nobody knows, and that is problematic. That this is very, very different situation that has been with the previous sort of slow.
All right, but like have you been? I would imagine you've been in heavy contact with your clients. So what are they saying?
Currently, the clients on our side, we don't have that many sort of affected clients or industries in our portfolio. So it's business as usual for most of the clients. There's more of that. Everything is remote now. We need to figure out how to start new projects remotely, and then if the sort of riptide that is going on in the economy now, in travel industry especially, that will reach the rest of the clients sector by sector, I would imagine that there would be more issues with the starting new projects. It also depends a bit that how much of the balance sheets of the clients is based on debt. So if they are heavily debt, it might be problematic for them to recover. And then if they have a good cash position, then it might be that they just say that we'll just continue because we think that this will be over in June or in May.
But there are two interesting points you mentioned. One is like if we look at it like try to look at it positively, in the sense that if there is one industry or one of the few industries that's so used to working remote, and now all of a sudden, and I can imagine most software houses have had client cases where clients are reluctant to hire them because they are remote. And now all of a sudden there is a situation where everyone has to work remote. So in that sense, is there like an opportunity or a way to educate maybe your current client portfolio to, hey, okay, I know you're maybe not used to working remote, but here maybe there's some way we can help you out. We have that process, and that could be a potential opportunity. Maybe.
Yeah, I would say that you are absolutely right. The opportunity would most probably come from the fact that you help the client. So that is the first and foremost, that you should not rush to the client to say, okay, we'll make more money because we'll help you, but more that we proactively guide you through, because we know these things and we can help you to cope with the situation. But I would not be too greedy with that one, because if the client sense that you are just after their money and not their well-being as a company, then you are just a vendor and not a partner. But this is a good place or good time in that sense to show that you care about your clients, you proactively help them, or you ask them that whether they need help in these areas. And after the acute crisis is over, there is two things. First, those companies that help each other during the crisis will most probably be rewarded as long as the the client doesn't go bankrupt or anything because of the liquidity crisis. That's the loyalty is one, and then the other one is that all these kind of disruptions always will cause new business opportunities. So there will be some new ideas, some new startups, some of the current big companies changing their ways because they found out that this was better or there was opportunity that they could tap into. And you need to be aware and agile on these, because typically I would say that like 90%, 95% of these include some kind of a digital approach to the problem.
Okay. That's and also what you mentioned is of course, so we look at the potential problem a software development house will have. It's either because it's an industry they work for or a client they work for who will have most likely a liquidity crisis themselves, so they will not either pay their bills or, first you always save, of course, your employees, then your partners, so you may lose the client. So on a software development business side, it's also like it's very very important to now manage your cash flow, and the last thing most probably you want to do, especially because it's you don't know yet how long this is going to last. You don't really, it's the last thing anyone wants to do is sack their employees. So
exactly.
So it is like optimizing your cost base. So also being too greedy on the ask for your clients, rather than being helpful and trying to work out the solution which works on both sides. That would probably be the way towards eventual success, right?
Exactly. And then during the crisis, it's critical to take care of your own cash flow. There's a sort of, I would say that there are two critical things that you need to make sure. First is that your management, especially CEO, stays operable, that they don't wear themselves off, so that the company has a guidance. And then the second one is that you have enough money in the bank to survive, because both of these crises really easily terminate the whole company. That they paralyze it first, and then termination is a matter of days or weeks. So first, all the C-level people, take really good care of yourself, keep the management up and running, then focus on the cash flow, and then everything else is something that needs to be solved after those two things. But
there is like there are companies out there who have had recently rather aggressive expansion, let's say, strategies. One thing, or this really hit us like quite hard. So if I'm already in the situation where I see that I will have cash flow problems, and they may last for X amount of time. So what should I do now?
First of all, the positive things that if you have clients that are not affected, then of course you should focus serving them. That keeping the healthy clients, that is really important. The external spending, if that can be reduced, that is also something that should be done. Most of the IT companies are pretty streamlined. Some of them use heavy amount in marketing and sales and so forth. Some don't. So check out those spendings that you can live without. Then you need to have bank limit, so that your saldo can go temporarily to minus. So you can actually, that helps a lot. Loans from the banks, and then the instruments from the government. There will be most probably from all the governments. There was yesterday a news, or was it today, that probably today, that Sweden is giving a 30 million euro fund to tackle the issue, and the Norwegians did quite a lot. So we are today at 6 o'clock. So in 2 hours, at 4 o'clock today, the Finnish state will tell that what we are going to do, and I guess that the Estonia will follow the suit pretty quickly.
Well, they have. That's my information. It may be a little bit wrong, but what I understand from the government is that they're considering taking a loan of debt of 1 billion right now.
Okay.
And so, but that's an interesting one. So Of course, and also how to make sure, like, let's put it this way: you are in a solid position in code from Finland. I lost your picture right now, by the way. Are you still there?
Sorry, yes, I'm here. It was there was a. Could you repeat the last question?
Yes. So the last question is, so how can I make sure that my company will be, or can I make sure that we will be among the businesses that are considered by the government to be boosted, for example?
That's
one thing, Janne. I lost your picture. Can you try and reactivate your camera?
Sure. Any better?
Yes, perfect. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So it depends.
We will restart it. If it cut off, internet connection lost for a second. And let's start chatting with Janne again. Hold on. Sorry for that.
Hello again.
Hello, Finland.
Yeah. Hopefully this is just a minor hiccup, but let's see. So definition of a healthy company will be decided by country. Mm-hmm. But if your balance sheet is good from the last year and you have been making steady progress, then most probably you are worth saving. Mm-hmm. If you have been making heavy losses, then you need to have an explanation for those losses and show that it is not the case for this year, because this should not be like every single company will be saved, but those that are profitable. Mm-hmm. The ways to do it will be different. That there's some will give like Germany is thinking of capitalization of the companies, that they will inject money to the companies. Mm-hmm. There might be, Finland is talking about relaxing tax or pension payments. Norway has given a pledge that they will help the companies to pay salaries instead of laying off people. Mm-hmm. This is especially good for the travel industries that might have a so short cash flow that they are in trouble in 1 or 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. There might be collateral backed by the government for loans and so forth. Finland has said that it should be market driven. Mm. But I guess that everybody else is doing something else, so it might be that they will have a different tone today. But we'll see in a couple of hours what is the. Yeah. One thing that I need to say here is that whatever is the mechanism, then prepare your company that you can actually do it, because it's utterly important that you have your paperwork done beforehand and not when the crisis on the store that your cash. Your bank account is drained dry, and then you start to figure out that who to contact and what kind of documents are needed. Check those in advance and be prepared.
Yeah. So exactly what can be done is not waiting for the grant, but being ready if there is one. But what can be done is preparing your business. But one more interesting thing, which I think could be done is it's kind of. Everyone in the software development industry is in that sense in the same boat, that some will have healthy companies, others will not have healthy companies. So I think seeking from help and or speaking to the people within the industry is really, really crucial. And there are ways that can be where cooperation can work in these cases. For example, most likely public tenders will be a safe haven in a way.
Yeah, that's true. So the of course they are budgeted beforehand. So that's the big thing, that the government always pays their bills. That's the other one. So there are two big pluses. So if you have tenders right now, then they are really good. It might be the case that the new tenders will come slower, or the decisions are made slower, especially if you are dealing with healthcare, or the crisis communication or some other part of the government that is really busy right now. So it might be that those projects are not able to start. But of course, when they have been started and if you have a long runway of backlog, that you have months of backlog, then you can continue developing the systems that you have agreed and so forth. But it's also so that the new public tenders that are not available will not save your situation right now, because it takes 3 to 6 months to get the project started and the cash flowing. So if you haven't got those, then actually that's now a bit too late. But then it might be the situation that especially if people become sick a lot in the industry, that there are some other companies that need your help. So also communicating with the other companies in the area is always a good thing. They might lack some expertise that you have, or you could use their expertise to boost something and so forth. So and pool up to, as a small company, to be able to win bigger deals later. But the immediate actions is one thing, and then the preparing because there might be a second wave that was like in Spanish flu in 1920s, 10s or 20s, that there were actually three waves of influenza back then. The first one was easy, then the second one was the most lethal. So if the situation that the lockdowns are now dismantled, like in May or June, we might have a second wave of the crisis in autumn.
Yeah.
And you should use the sort of normal time to prepare for that too, even if you are not that paranoid, but the good CEO is always a bit paranoid.
Okay, good point. And also I think what is a good point is that we will be seeing businesses in different sort of crises, and one of the crises could be that you just lack staff because they are on leave at one point or another. And here's the like potential opportunity lies within your sort of bench, within the people that could go and help out different businesses, whether it's product companies whose tech staff is on leave, or whether it's companies that could be helped further through the crisis through anything to do with tech, where we can go and jump in quite quickly. And that's it's like setting up the special forces team basically to help other companies in whatever they may need during crisis and to go through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Figure out what is mutually agreed, that you don't just send a bunch of people to hang around to see something. But we are really good, for example, in customer support, tech support, and so forth. So we could relieve people that know their organization better to be on the front line with for example, crisis management, and then we some IT companies, consultants could run the other areas of the business that are not critical right now, but are still crucial. So it depends a bit on the company by company.
But how do you then communicate it in the sense that, okay, everyone knows you are selling IT services. You really don't want to fall into the trap of, and you may have the best intentions, but you don't want to fall in the trap of me wanting to make money of you from that situation. Now, you really want to go in with a helpful approach, that you really want to try and help the company to achieve something.
Exactly. So it needs to be, you should proactively talk with the clients that how's the things are going. It might not be today, but then in a few come a bit more normal, that what is happening there, how the things have changed and so forth. Proactively probing the customer to understand their situation, and then proactively ideating. Not that every single idea that comes to mind that I'll shoot away, but for example, that in this case we could actually move this part of the solution to maybe to a Zendesk, so that you would have less people calling to you, and they could see a FAQ there directly that we can do that in a day. Should we do it? And then the client might say, yeah, please do it, and move forward. So the actionable ideas that are relevant to the client, and you should understand that's the IT company should always understand client's business enough that you know that what is relevant and what's not. There was a good example on Friday. I called one client that was said that we are completely halted now because we get so much incoming requests. I can't go to detail because it's confidential, but they got a lot of requests, and their danger is that they would have a lot of assets on their balance sheet that they don't really want to, because people are dumping stuff to them. So I said that maybe the thing that what we discussed with them, that instead of you buying the stuff, you just resell it instead of the client itself. So you act as a broker, and the system that we envisioned with you could actually be tailored to do that too, and say that, okay, yeah, that's really, really good point. I'll get back to you a couple of days later when I talk with the rest of the management. So that kind of proactive thinking, that let's change the problem to something else and still keep the business, because there sometimes might be that for example, now there might be that companies are dumping their assets to reduce cost, for example, cars or old machinery or what else to the market, that it's somebody else's problem. And then the issue might be that then it's on your balance sheet, and every day the value is lower and lower and lower. You make loss, and then you are at the end in a crisis.
So basically what you're saying, and I think it's a really good point, is like with proactiveness, you can be much more creative in the sense, and you have to go really, really deep into your current client's portfolio to understand what their problem today is, because their problem today most likely is very different from their problem last week. And so if you could have some value add there, and all boils down to being really, really attentive to your client at the end of the day, I think, and trying to make the most out of the relationship for both sides, that everybody wins.
Yeah, exactly. And this needs to be done in style also, that it's that if you now start that, okay, that everything is in crisis, and now suddenly you want to be talking with the client, they might be that you didn't talk with us in half a year ago, 1 year ago, when we had different kind of crises, but now you are also seeing the crisis, so why are you now active? But if you are compassionate, empathic, and saying that we are feeling it too, and we are here to help you in these kind of things, and we guarantee that we keep our ball, that when the ball is on our hands, we don't drop it with these kind of measurements, and then start to go through it. But the crucial takeaway for the longer term thing for every single IT company, that you truly need to understand your client's business. If you don't do that, then you are just a vendor that supplies something that might or might not be valuable to a client, that you don't actually know that.
But now the question is very simple. On the one hand, you want to go, you have to go really deep into your client and understand them. But on the other hand, to avoid a crisis within your company, you kind of want to diversify your portfolio, right? So that's an interesting point of balance that you have to kind of make, and compromises that you have to make. If you were only in healthcare today, you may not be very bad as a company. If you were only in travel, you may be really, really, really bad, right? But then healthcare and travel are two completely different industries to be in.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other hand, what stays the same in most of the industries is the user. So it's always business to humans. So at the end, they are serving somebody, whether that is an enterprise user, whether that's business user, whether that is a consumer. There are a few exceptions to working in healthcare, the user, there might not be a user, but there's a subject, that you are subject to procedures and you are patient. And then in certain cases, they don't really care how you feel. They just want to save your life. Mm-hmm. But most of the other businesses care about the feelings of the user too. And then all of that come from the same, that we people are at the end, in deepest, we are the same. Mm-hmm. So if you understand customers and their behavior, besides the client's business, you are already halfway there, because then the understanding client business in junction with what users want, that's crucial, because then you can say that, okay, you want to go there and we think that the people want to go here, and this is sort of the potential futures. But if you don't understand how people work, and that is especially in the small IT companies, you very well know how computers work, but they don't ever do anything proactively. They don't ever feel anything. So understanding people is crucial. And then if you understand people, you can also understand parts of the business, because the certain mechanisms with the people are always the same.
But this brings, that's again, it's like understanding the people who are your clients. And now is the other aspect, it's understanding your employees. And now software development industry may be well versed or used to working remote, but it's usually the situation is that some of the team works remote from home. You know, most of them are still in the office. They of course work remote for the client, but there are ways that IT companies, they kind of, what are the best ways of motivating your staff to work for your software development business, not your neighbor's software development business. And it all boils down to how you kind of treat them, right? And how much freedom you give them to choose what they want to do. Is it like kind of hand in hand with their skills, etc., etc.? Are they having good time at work? But now we have a situation where it's a little bit hard to have good time at work. So how do you, as a CEO of Exove, then keep up the spirit of your people, and especially in the times when they know that we may lose a client? So it's a really difficult situation to be in that sense.
Yeah, I think that the communication is the key. So first and foremost, people need to rely that the company and the management will tell the open and honest truth, that what is the situation, whether the situation is good or bad. Of course, people tend to sugarcoat them always, so that you should not be blunt, for example, when you tell the bad news that we will be bankrupt in a week. Won't probably help anybody. You just get panic, even if that might be honest and open comment. So that's one thing, that when you communicate, the people know that you are actually communicating the right things and those that are crucial. And then in the times of crisis, you need to communicate a lot and show empathy and compassion to the people, and try to help them, care about them, so that they feel that the company is willing to go extra length for them. So sets the security of the work or the situation is as high as possible, that people are not afraid, or they don't know that there's rumors and fear mongering and these kind of things, fake news. Then the other one is that you need to keep the spirits up by leading as an example, that the management does what everybody else is expected to do, and also so that the work still is fun, because it's mostly fun with already. So for example, at Exove this morning we had not really a photo competition, but there was posted photos of their remote setups, and then we saw a bit of a glimpse of their homes to see more of the personality of the people. There were a lot of cats, for example, in the photos for some reason. I guess that the overlords are there. Then there was other companies, because the ice hockey playoffs are cancelled in Finland, and people tend to grow beard when there's a ice. Okay, so now there's a guaranteed beard competition there, that everybody's growing a beard because of during the isolation, and then comparing the results. So making it fun while people are remote. Then there's the third one is that people need to share the small things that you typically you high five somebody in the corridor, or you said that this was great, or thank you, or whatnot. And then people around the conversation that hear that too. But when you do that in Slack in private channel, then it's lost easily. So encouraging people to share their positive vibes, and also the negative feedback, but then privately those, and so that nobody feels lonely. And the management needs to make sure that everybody gets the attention. Also those people that are not sort of outgoing, that let's do everything, but they are more focused on the internal side of things, or introverted, that they are also heard and they are also praised, because everybody does a good job typically in the IT companies.
Yeah. But there is a question soon. Let's put you a little bit on the spot. If you lose some volume, if you have a longer bench than normal, what's your take? Would you for a good cause, or for saving your client's company, or saving or trying to save someone else's company, would you be selling your employees then for a reduced rate? Would you be able to do it only for a cost base? Your people will get your people will get work, which is important. Your client will get something solved, which is important at that point. You will be running no profit, of course, but at least at zero cost base. Does it make sense to reduce rates right now or not?
That's an excellent question. I would say that if you reduce the prices, you should not do that permanently, because then it's easily so that we become too cheap to develop the industry further. So we are just making a meager profit or no profit at all, and that's very fragile situation. I would instead make a deal with the client that if you recover, if the client recovers, they will pay the rest of the money in certain amount of months or years, that you will get your profit later. But you take the risk that if the client is not healthy, that they go to bankrupt, then you will carry part of the loss. That's a business decision that can be made. But I would not just give discounts because of giving a discount. You should have some kind of way that and that also shows that you trust the client. Then there might be some clients that you don't trust, and you need to say no. That no, we can't take it. Although we can do some kind of thing if you give us a deposit of certain amount of tens of thousands of euros, because there might be that they are just wanting to sneak away from the situation. But then if you know the clients, you already know that who is trustworthy and who is trustworthy only if you have proven contracts and an army of lawyers. And the latter one is something that I would not give too much in, because they will try to go the whole 9 yards then.
Okay. And how do we know we are we are jumping ahead, of course, a lot. So in that sense that right now, yes, we can say maybe we can say the crisis is over now that the health situation is solving, right? But so on a typical crisis, what happens for you to know that we have kind of gotten over the biggest steepest point? How do you recognize it, and how should you react to recover?
I would say that if you start to get the positive news from Italy, Spain, or Sweden, those countries that are currently have been affected heavily, that they are recovering, then you should start to figure also that it will follow, that the Estonia or Finland will follow those countries. My concern is that then it might be like a W, that you make a dip, recover, and then do another dip, because the restrictions are dismantled too early, and then the virus is still there somewhere, and then we are again in the same situation. So I think that the people will be very cautious to figure out that what is the way and correct procedure to remove the restrictions that we currently have. And I think that then because the money, people have been saving money during probably in these weeks, that you work from home, you eat inside, you maybe buy a lot of toilet paper, but other than that, there's not that much to be spent. So there will be most probably accumulated need for spending, and that might boost the economy for a while. And then whether that becomes the norm or whether that is just a spike, that's a good question. And the other one is also, of course, that we have other sort of long-term crisis ongoing with the climate. So it might be also that people found out that not buying stuff, not doing things is quite cool also, and this is good for the environment.
There will be a wave of not traveling. There will be a wave of, exactly, that could be.
So if that happens, that this becomes new normal, as happened in 2008, that it was the new normal for a few years, and has been so far, that the economies are not growing that quickly. They haven't been growing that quickly in maybe the past few years in Europe. US recovered really quickly, but Finland never really recovered like last year, and then we got this in our hands. So if the climate crisis and this is combined, and people say that okay, we need to stop spending, which is probably good for the planet and good for our children, but not maybe good for our businesses right now. It might be that this changes the way people behave in a profound fashion. And then you need to be really, really alert and agile to cope in that situation, because then nobody knows what's going to happen. That was the same with the 2008, and when the growth stalled and stayed stalled, then nobody really know that what to do and where to invest. And that took several years that people figured out that okay, this is our new way of living, that the economy is not growing that quickly anymore. The interest rates are mud bottom and so forth.
Okay, but like from the very long term, thinking to today, like we can see that right now everyone knows you have to live day by day, and you have to learn day by day and do new kind of adjust, right? So yes. What's the best way to, because we could have that talk again on Wednesday, and maybe we would be talking about a completely different angle because the situation has changed. So the importance, what I think, the importance of professionals in one industry to share this information, and that everyone is willing to share their experiences, I think it's super important. And I mean, Finnish dev houses and software development industry and Estonian software development industry are very similar in the sense how they operate. So getting that kind of knowledge from you, getting that kind of knowledge from everyone is something I think everyone would benefit from. It wasn't a question, it was more of a statement at the end.
Yeah, but I completely agree. The only thing that we don't need is the panic and fear mongering, because some of the very, very bright people in this industry also, and all the others, are spending a huge amount of time calculating, for example, that how many people are going to get killed in the countries, and how this is the end of the world and so forth. I understand that it might feel that you are doing something, but if you are spreading misinformation, fake news, and the others, then you are not helping the situation, because there will be more of the healthcare officials' time is spent tackling with those kind of news. So when you help and share and figure out ways, then base everything in facts and try to sort of get the right kind of analysis of the facts, Because if you just do it the layman, then you might get wrong because the information that you get from media is incomplete compared to for example, the governmental health organization that share openly across the borders, and the media just get to see certain kind of image. So
I think it comes down to like being positively proactive and trying to find solutions instead of fear or whatever you can. So I think that's really important, and I think that like. In this industry, you can see that there are solutions coming up and people are thinking about it, and you hear more and more about for example, the remote work example, how software companies are starting to educate their customers about it, and I think that's really, really positive.
I think that the crucial question for every solution is to check that whether it actually has a problem that is going to solve, because there is so many solutions that are looking for their problems and not vice versa. So there might be a really cool thing that you think that okay, this solves something, and actually it doesn't. A good example is I was back in the 2006. I was making 2005 and 2006. I was making Jaiku, that was like a Twitter back in then. And I remember the excitement and that we are changing the world and social media is changing the world, and we were on the good side of the people. And now when you look at the social media, then whether it's the good or bad thing, for example, it has amplified this crisis and the panic of people. Multifold compared to the previous one. But back then we were thinking that we are solving real problems, and the solution is good one. But you never know. So it's and also with the sort of shorter term things, that whether something adds information, that we have a map that shows all the cases, or whether the people in those areas start to hunt down the affected ones with pitchforks and torches and so forth, it might lead to that. So you need to be careful figuring out that whether this is something that is actually beneficial for the society, or is it just because I have angst right now that I need to do something, like hoard the toilet paper that the people have been doing. So always think about your own motivation, and you need also verify your ideas with somebody that knows things, especially if you're doing something for healthcare and you are not healthcare professional. Verify the ideas before you launch them, because you might do more harm than good. But if the idea is good, then I would say that just go ahead, push it. And if your employer has people on the bench, then maybe adapt that kind of ideas that your people have to help the economy to recover, or the health crisis to recover itself, and so forth. All of those are laudable ideas, but make sure that you're actually solving a right problem or existing problem, and in a way that it actually helps the situation and not worsen it.
Cool. So what we can do now is we have a 30-second delay or something, as I've said, but and I have no clue if anyone is watching it or not. But if there are any questions, maybe we can take some questions now. And if not, which would be also completely fine, we can kind of have Janne continue doing his everyday work and see where it all develops. But let's wait for a minute or so to see if we are getting any questions in.
Yeah, in that while we're waiting, I would say one thing also that that came to my mind about the liquidity is that you should also make sure that all the projects have a really as long as possible backlog, because if your contact person gets sick in a company, that is safe, that is sound. For example, a utility company, that everybody needs electricity, everybody needs water. Grocery stores, they need certain things that they are now used, and their business is going on as usual. But if your contact person gets sick, then it might be that you have like 1 week of worth of work, and then you need to wait until that person gets back from the sick leave, or whether he or she is quarantined and so forth. So the proactively talk with the clients about the situation and tell that what you are able to do and so forth, that you are not deadlocked when something, a minor bad happens with one person, or your project manager or your tech lead or your lead architect becomes sick, or his or her kid becomes sick and need to stay home. That you are prepared for those things, or that the management member gets sick, your person that is running your finances gets sick, and then you don't know that how much you have money left. All of those you need to prepare and have a plan B and probably plan C also.
That's the funny thing, that this what you're saying, that entirely boils down to communication, 100%. So yes, good question coming up actually. And now I see someone actually is asking, and I see we have Hans, who's my colleague, who's assisting us a little bit. So he's posting the questions. He says 40 people online right now, which is pretty cool. Marcin Novak is asking, actually this video has been distributed with the Software Development Association in Poland. Maybe that's where it's from, the question. Janne, do you get your new projects online or more in-person way? And what are you planning in terms of new sales? Good question.
I just discussed today, like a couple of hours ago, with our sales director, and the team is rolling on with full steam. So at least for the time being, it's all the meetings have been converted to remote meetings. So there's no in-person meetings. All the clients are really happy to do it right now. Actually, there were a couple of clients already last week that said that we want to do this before there was the lockdown from the Finnish state. So it's going normal, and actually there's an interesting fact that I learned also myself this morning, that there are less meetings because some of the meetings are just cancelled. So the clients have more time, so they can answer your phone call.
Exactly. So actually the proactive sales is a good point. And also of course, you are fighting crisis within your company, very likely. But it is a time when people want to hear from you. It is a time when they want to hear from, oh yes, Janne, we haven't spoken for a long time, but that is a really, really good time for that.
Yeah, and you need to be, that the client will have always give that kind of positive impression that the client really wants to talk with you next time, or the previous time you talked with them was not that you were again that, okay, I would like to get some money from you, please. And so forth. So proactively doing that. But now it's a good time to call people. Also saying that we are carrying our clients. If the CEO calls all the clients of the company and say that how are things? That are you okay? That might actually lead to sales.
And that also is to anyone, all the Estonians listening out here, because we had in our last meetup with Janne, we had this discussion, and what we found out is that Estonian software development companies are more reluctant to call their clients, and Finns are, for example, very, very, very much on the phone and making that personal connection. So that is a good time to kind of
and I think that the other founder of Exove nailed it. He's a marketer, that a truly market man in all sense, very, very commercial thinking. He said that not a single client will be offended if you called them that I have been thinking about you and your business. Everybody said, oh, lovely, that somebody else than me.
And if it comes from your heart, of course, that I have been thinking about your business, then of course.
And then if it doesn't yet come from your heart, then that you fake it until you make it, because sooner or later you will get so used to it, and also so familiar with your clients that you actually care, even if you are first care about your wallet and their money in your wallet, but later you start to care about their business and the longer term. So it's always good practice to call people or communicate with other means. If the calling is not the right, then the other one. It depends on the culture that what is considered too intimate and what is proper way to do communication.
But I think there is a very strong point to add to this. It's not only the clients you have to call; it's also the your partners you should be calling, and because maybe your partner is not losing a big client like you are, and you of course the first thing you resort to is thinking about yourself and the people that you will be losing from that project. But it may be that your client is, or your partner is quite safe, and maybe that they could even give you business, or maybe, it's also the partners to nurture that relationship with them, and they are in the exact same boat.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like what the people in Poland, the software development association of Poland is doing with their sharing the resources with the 80 plus companies and so forth. So we are all in the same boat at the end, and cooperation is always better than that kind of
the wrong competition.
Lethal kind of competition that drives everybody. Prices down, and the quality will follow, and then the economy in overall won't be that strong compared to countries where the IT solution quality is higher. Yeah. So there's that's crucial. And then I would say that talking with other people, it's also really good for the CEO. This is very lonely job that you are alone responsible of everything. You might have a good relationship with the chairman of the board, but if you talk with other CEOs, that how they are feeling, what's going on, and so forth, you will get an extremely big boost and confidence, because nobody knows that they are doing the right thing. But for example, I was in a Finnish coder Slack channel, a Slack community called Koodiklinikka, asking that how the companies have been prepared for the Friday's video that we were preparing for. I was checking out. And all of them had the exactly same kind of approach on same time. So I knew then that I'm doing right things at my company.
And also, it's not about, for us, it's not about sales to get the people to our Slack channel, but we are really trying to make the Allies Slack channel in a way that you are also eager to share your stories, and a place where it's safe to contact Janne and ask for his advice, because what we see from the questionnaires that we do with our partners, we see that most of our partners have not been around at the time of the last crisis. Most of the companies that we work with, and they are significant players in Estonia and Finland, are companies that are older or younger than 10 years. So you have always been on the kind of upslope, and it's normal and it's good, and everyone's have had a good time and a great time. But now this hits like boom. But there are some people, or quite a few people, who have seen it, and they kind of have prepared themselves maybe better, or maybe not even better, but they have seen it before. So it's really useful to.
Yeah, and it's really that you have lived through harder ages. It also helps in the mental side of things, that hopefully you don't wake up on your own screaming during the night and so forth, these kind of things. But you can put things in perspective, that this is at the end just about business and IT.
Yeah. And we have another question, if I may take. It's Mehis Pärn from Tartu asking, what do you predict in general? Who will get hit worse, small or large companies? And do we see some restructuring in the market? And I think Mehis is talking about IT companies now.
Yeah. Companies that are healthy typically go easier. The government has a tendency to help the bigger companies first, because if you with the single blow save like 1,000 people, from becoming unemployed, instead of that you need to spend like 100 times the same time to save the 100,000 people. Of course, the math is on the big side. The big companies might be hollow inside, that they are not very well funded, and they might come crashing down. You never know. So it's about the healthiness of the company first and foremost, and then of course the size does matter when you have to choose that who you are going to save. There will be consolidations in the market. If even one company goes to bust on IT, then there will be some ways that others will fill that place.
Yeah.
And then there might be fire sales that you are trying to sell the housewives on fire and so forth. If things go really bad, I do hope that is not the case. But also, there is people that have found out that my setup is not optimal. That I've survived, and in a year I need to do something differently. And one option is mergers and acquisition on those scenarios. So it might be that the companies start to strengthen themselves by merging, or
but I am not in a good position if I want to be merged at this moment, I think. If I want to be acquired, then I'm not really in the best position right now. If I have the power to buy, maybe a good time. If you have the power to buy.
Yeah. But I mean that I would say that after a year in the crisis over, everything is fine and dandy again. But you have the mental scars in your thinking. Then it might be that you are more eager to consider other options, that you are not. Or you think that your company, because it almost collapsed, that you failed as a leader, which you didn't, but you might still think that you want to have somebody else at the helm and so forth. So there will be all the disruptions cause situation, but then it should be also that if the situation is new, there will be more young small companies popping up instead of consolidation. So if this disrupts everything very, very heavily, then there will be new startups and new ways of doing. But if it doesn't disrupt the IT business that much, that we still continue doing the things that we have been doing, then it might be the consolidation is the way and the consolidation happens, notwithstanding with the crisis, when the industry gets more mature. So then there's a certain phase that the consolidation happen, and we are. In Finland, we have been on the verge of that phase for a couple of years. It's not the full-blown consolidation yet, but companies are picked time to time and merged.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I think we could go on for quite some time. I see that Marcin, for example, has said that he has to go for his call, and he thanks us for the talk. And interesting perspective to see for him the experiences from other markets. But cool. Do we have? I will wait for another minute. If anyone has more questions, please post them right now. I would also say that we are going to one way or another continue this discussion in the Ally Slack channel. So if you are, especially if you are a software development house in Estonia or in Finland, please do sign up. I think there is around more than 70 C-level or let's say executives of software development houses signed up already. You can approach Janne there directly as well, I think.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I would say that if you can approach me in the public channel, it would be really good, because then all the other people would see also the discussion, and not privately. We both people, Finns and Estonians, are pretty private in nature. But if you could overcome that and do the public discussion, then everybody would benefit.
Absolutely. And if we keep the discussions positive, if we try to keep on finding solutions, if we try to keep on finding collaboration possibilities for each other, then I think there is like in the long term, everyone will win. And so will your clients actually, which is funny. But I see that there may be something else popping up. Yes, actually, your colleague Hans Govind from Exove is asking, what are the industries that will witness disruption in your opinion?
That is a good question. I actually wrote a few of those down when I see my notes.
Hans is also adding, but you already covered that. But no, we haven't. Janne has.
Yeah. So yes, I would say that all the industries that are related to moving people or people are coming together will have sort of immediate changes, like sports, travel, hospitality, restaurants, catering, and so forth. So they will have impacts. There is a lot of companies that are not that well, that the profits are low on those industries, so it's hard to accumulate buffers. So there might be issues in short term with the liquidity crisis, and on long term, if the liquidity crisis is alleviated by the state, that you need to pay back those money. So that's for sure that those industries are shaken for good. Healthcare will be shaken. I would say that because people cannot go to that if there is, for example, now in Finland, the city I live in Espoo has said that only agreed scheduled healthcare meetings take place, and everything else you can't come there. So there will be disruptions in the processes that how this could be at least made happen again if the crisis comes up with the single push of button. Okay, we'll move to crisis mode, or it might change the way they do business in full time.
I think a good point is that some industries may have they will write into their sort of code a possibility to change when it's crisis. So like accommodation industry, instead of offering hotel rooms or apartments right now to foreigners that come and visit your country, could offer home offices, for example. There are the same with the healthcare, as you mentioned. So probably we will see more like you become more agile, as you say, in the way you're doing business, because this will restore most probably this will the normal situation will be restored. But then what do you do in the meanwhile? What do you do next time this happens? And it can happen. And those are the things that have to be thought about, I think.
Yeah, and then also that the a bit slower changes might be, for example, that people buy more groceries on the net, and then their home delivery might grow a lot. All the digital entertainment will get boost. That to keep our kids happy, we probably will buy a Netflix subscription for them, that we can actually do work at home, and telecoms will have a lot of interesting times ahead of those. So they will boost things, and there will be changes also that we see, like in 5 years or 10 years, that this change was because of Corona crisis back in 2020, and that was the spark that then set something apart, and something new, bigger was built on the.
If like bringing food home was a nice to have, now it's must have in a way.
And then if you found out that this is actually pretty convenient way, that you don't need to go to store with couple of kindergarten age kids and fight all the time with the sweet section and so forth. It might be that you pay the couple euros extra for just sake of getting everything is cheaper, or not cheaper, but
convenient, so to say.
More convenient. Yeah. So the people that have started to use those, they have found out that they spend less because they don't buy it. Okay, I'll take this one because I might need it, and so forth. So that kind of shopping disappears with the groceries.
Yeah.
So we might see these kind of we will see bigger changes, but then those that actually can see the shift, tide shifting earlier than the others, they can actually make really good businesses on those areas.
And most likely, I think that's a nice way of kind of putting an end to our discussion in a way, is that most likely on the most positive side for the software development industry, for most of the things that will change, it will become more digital, in the sense you will have more robots, you will have more you will have more automation, you will have less human contact in at least crisis situations, or whatever industry that does change, or delivery becomes better. How do you make delivery? So in that sense, I think it's just it will prompt faster change in a way. That's what will definitely happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Janne, thank you, I guess. If you have anything in particular to add, now is the time. Otherwise, we will have to continue this, I think, on the keyboards, and send me, or you can also, if you know Janne better, send Janne a message to ask about how we can be in contact after that through Slack. From my side, it was really interesting. It was the first time I did a webinar, but at the end, you kind of forget that you're doing a webinar, which is cool. You kind of start having a conversation, which makes it good again, because first you're a little bit like this. But cool. I think it was a fun experience to me. And please, if you have anything to add.
No, I think that I have spoken a lot of things, and we'll continue discussion later. And I truly appreciate this opportunity, and this was an honor, and hopefully somebody got some ideas that they can improve or save their businesses in the interesting times that we are living in.
Exactly. Greetings to Helsinki. Hope we can mingle between on the Tallink ferry soon again, and let's see where this develops in the next coming days.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I will try and stop the stream.